Hi YouTube, Suka here today with some more Warforge for you. Today we're gonna continue our draft tier list, and if we watched part 1, we already completed the first 6 factions, so we're gonna start off with Tau this time. So here's our base tier list again, and we're gonna do the same thing. We're going to look at the cards in the game, and we're gonna use the tier list here. So first we have Warshaper. So strike heals 1, talent versus the beast, give +1 until your next turn and +1 health to your warlord. Now, actually, before that, let's talk about Tau first. Tau is actually pretty easy to draft for. Their packages are divided into the more technological Tau type packages and the more warlike Kroot type packages. So you can already tell what kind of deck you're making, just which packages you're drafting. So if you have a warlord that's more focused on melee like Warshaper, then you draft more Kroot. If you have a warlord like Shadow Sun, who's more focused on range, then you draft the more tech package. So, and the troops aren't bad either. They have long range, they have shields, and they have cards like technological superiority and Zephyr Shield, which allow you to trade favorably. So all in all, they're a pretty good faction and draft. So Warshaper gives +1 to your entire board and plus health to your warlord and infantry troops, and he heals 1 himself. So he actually needs all of these heals because he starts off at 5 HP less. So if you were to just consider how many heals he gets through the game, and as well as the triggers of his talent, he pretty much starts at the same 25 HP as the others. It's just that he heals it back instead of having it at the start. So it's not that big a the 20 life is not as big as a disadvantage as you think. So he already gives you a bonus for going wide, and he tells you what you want to draft. So he makes drafting easy for you, and he's in a good faction for drafting. So we put him in the better choice than others. Next we have Commander Omesi. Macy has shield, but don't be too impressed by shield. That's just an extra 2 life really. The first turn, your opponent's just gonna hit the shield and deal remove it. And he can create his drones, which have been improved. Okay, so drones. Drones are controversial. I'm convinced drones are a thing in Classic. I've seen enough drone decks in Classic to see that they work. I'm not convinced drones are a thing in Skirmish. The thing that makes drones in Classic work is that Macy has like 3 or 4 turns to just stockpile drones in his hand, like Vanguard drones and whatever other type of drones you want to create, until Savior Protocols or the Piranha hits, and then all the drones come out. In Skirmish, Piranha hits on turn 1. Otherwise, it's gonna be a severe underdrop, and your opponent has the advantage on you. So I'm still not convinced that drones are gonna be a thing in Skirmish. And couple that with the fact that you have to get very, very specific cards to make drones even work in Skirmish, means that it's not really gonna work consistently in draft. However, if you were to consider the card, like the cards you can create, at the very least you have a two cost talent that can create a 0 to 3 health bot with Vanguard. That's not bad. That's like an Imperial Guard that you can create every turn. So against some warlords who can't do 3 damage, that can actually trip them up. So based on all of that, I still put him in the average tier. What he wants to do can't really be done, but he can still do the basics correctly, so he's still there. Next, you have Shadow Sun. One of the best things about Shadow Sun is that she hits the 3 attack threshold by herself, which is required to get rid of some very troublesome early game units like a Imperial Guard or something like that can get in the way of your other troops. And she can put Marker Light on enemy troops, which means that drops in your in your boxes like coordinated engagement suddenly become very valuable instead of being wasted slots. Now, aside from that, you get more use out of sniper drones for her as well, and she kind of just benefits your army as a whole with her marker light. So she's in a good faction. She tells you how you want to draft, and she makes some of the picks in that faction viable or more viable only for her. Like for example, a pulse barrage or something, with just an extra 2 mana or extra one energy, you can make it so that one of those targets are marked, which will deal an extra 2 damage to it. So there are things that work better just with her. For that reason, I'm putting her at better choice than others. If you notice, the first thing that usually determines where you go is how good your faction is. If your faction is one that I think is good in skirmish, then I'll put you at the baseline average, I guess, unless you're really terrible at doing something. And then you can go higher from there. But if your faction, I think, is something that doesn't do well in skirmish, then the best you're gonna do is average or better choice than others. Next, you have Anba. Okay. So, Anba gives +1 health to your Warlord and adjacent units. So, he wants you to go wide. Now, one thing about Anba is he has a lot of tricks. Serene Unifier means that for a total of 3 energy, he can bring up a new menu of spells. For 1 energy, he can bring up a shield. And for 3 energy, he can bring up Storm of Fire, which deals +2 damage to everyone. +2 damage to everyone. Now, this means that for 4 mana, 4 energy, Anba has a emergency shield that he can give to anyone in his party. So you'll only be using that in the most important situations. But that means that whatever you trade in will survive, and whatever you attack will die. And since you're only gonna be spending that 4 cost in the most important situations, because that's 4 cost, you're guaranteed that something big of yours survives unhurt, and something big of theirs will die. More importantly, Anbok carries his own win condition. He just has to get a wide enough board that his bonus of +2 range to everyone in his board will kill the opponent. So if if you can stealth stuff, if you can make stuff survive through shields or flying or long range, and whittle down your opponent's life, Anba carries his own win condition himself. Other warlords don't do that. They need to have Beacon of Faith. They need to have Vengeance of Cadia. They need to have some sort of enabling card to make the swarm work. Anba carries his own enabling card. For that reason, I put Anba in easy mode. It's actually fairly easy to get 12 wins with Anba. Next, we have our sisters. So we'll start off with my personal bias. Morbin Ball. Deal 1 damage. Oh, wait, sisters first. I think sisters are the strongest faction in draft right now. That's just because of how easy it is to gain faith with them. This means that their cards that require faith are usually triggered, and those cards are very powerful, like a Divine Intervention, which for 5 energy destroys your enemy's entire board. Or in this case, Morbin with 4 faith gives his entire board +2/+2, something Anba pays 6 for, and heals 1. And he only pays 2 for this. So as you can see how overpowered he is. Now the reason why I like Anba the most, Morinval the most, is that his prayer deals 1 damage. So as a sisters player, your biggest threat is other sisters player. So whoever can get faith the most usually wins. Anbas deal 1 damage, disrupts their prayer, because you're damaging their warlord. So that means that they won't be gaining an extra faith on their turn, while on your turn, unless they attack you, you will be gaining an extra faith. Now, if they attack you with their warlord, that's fine as well, because they're not even gaining their base faith at that point. So you're gonna be up ahead in the faith race. So he's more of like an anti-sister's choice. That's why I like him the most. Now, he just wants you to go wide, because the wider you are, the more units he buffs. Now, just an illustration. Usually, a two-cost unit would be something like 2/2, 2/3 with 3 life, something like that. Whereas a four-cost unit would be something like 4/4, 4/5 with 5 life. With this talent, your units are punching up from a 2 cost to a 4 cost. Of course, they'll die in the process unless they have shield, but they're still taking out something vastly more valuable than they are. Now, aside from that, they also have an easier time gunning down the opposing warlord because each particular unit you have will probably deal 4 to 5 damage to the warlord, which means you only need 4 to 5 units to bring a warlord down to 0. Especially since you've been attacking and doing other stuff in the meantime. For that reason, we have our first guarantee 12. Um, it's it's very easy to get 12 with Anba. Next we have Erica. Alright, this will probably be controversial. Her her talent is still fine. It's not overpowered like the rest of the sisters, but it's still fine. 2 costs for 3 damage is still fine. Um, is it hard to get 5 faith? In classic, yes, almost impossible, unless you play Relics of Saint Catherine. In skirmish, that's just 5 praying characters, and then you even get more when you shield or when you prayer or when you do other stuff. So by second or third turn, this should be active already. Now, I also like her prayer. Give 1 health to a friendly unit. That usually means that when trading, your unit survives by like 1 or 2 HP, which means your opponent either has to have a spell specifically for that, or worst comes to worst, they'll have to send another person to take full damage just to deal that last 1 or 2 damage. Which is why I still find her to be a very good caster. Now she doesn't auto stun anymore. She's not the perfect control caster. I think she's more of a flanking caster now, or an aggro caster, because her talent supports that. Um, the 3 damage is enough to kill outright any small targets, and if you combine it with her attack, that's 5. So played aggressively, I think she'll do better than most. So I rate her as a better choice than others. Abilene, okay. In my opinion, in skirmish, again in skirmish, not classic, Abilene is the weakest caster of sisters. Number one, her prayer requires that you have a friendly troop. That's not a guarantee. You have to draw a friendly troop to do that. Now, you're not guaranteed to draw a friendly troop on turn one, so it's possible that on turn one you're attacking the enemy instead of gaining faith. Next, Demon Breaker. Give +1/+1, +1 attack and blast 1 and shield. 6 deal it permanently. When you notice the other sisters doing their thing, when they hit their faith, they get the full effects of their reward right away. Like Morgan Bale goes from +1/+1 to +2/+2 heal 1. So he gets all of that right away upon hitting 4. Aveline gets +1 attack, +1 blast, and shield. She's been getting that all along, just not permanently. So, under first use, an Aveline at 6 faith and an Aveline at 0 faith is no different. You still get the same 3 attack guy, you still get the same 1 blast, you still get the same shield. What makes a difference is the next turn. Aveline will get +2, 2 blast and shield. And then the next turn after that, she gets +3, 3 blast and shield. If you're playing in Classic, where you have many turns to build up, that adds up over time. And it can turn into a situation where you just can't handle Aveline anymore. In Skirmish, where after turn 5 or 6, your deck will actively try to kill you, you don't have that many turns to actually build up Aveline. It's pretty much a guarantee that you're not gonna get 6 faith on turn 1. You're gonna have a very hard time doing it on turn 2. So it might be a turn 3 onward thing, in which case by the time you really get going, the game will probably be over already. However, she's still a sister, so I can't rate her too badly. So we put her at average. Next we have Junith. Deploy Battle Sister. Okay, so Battle Sister is 1, 2, 3. The nice thing about this is it has 3 life, so some warlords can't deal with that. Now, one thing about Junith is that she makes drafting easier for you because you don't need to draft as many low cost troops as you normally would. Normally, when you draft, you want a mix of low, medium, and high troops so that you'll have something good to play for second and third turn. Now, when it comes to Junith, she guarantees you that even if you don't draw anything, the worst you're gonna get is a 1 to 3 health soldier that can heal itself and pray the next turn. So, if it actually gets to praying, then it's generating faith for you already, and you probably won at that point. So she makes your deck building simpler, and she is in a good faction, which is why I rate her above average. Oh, not here, above average only. Okay. Next we have the Gene Stealers. Let's go with Laska first. Oh, well, Gene Stealers as a whole. Alright, Gene Stealers. Sabotage, Ambush, and I think that's it. General, disruption. It's hard to get the critical mass of Sabotage needed to make a Sabotage deck in Gene Stealers. And, in Draft rather. And it's hard to get the guys with good ambush effects in Gene Stealers as well during draft. So you never know what ambush effect you're gonna get. That being said, they have some pretty good heavy units like the Goliath tanks and stuff, so they can still draft well. They have pretty obvious choices for the start. So they're still in an average fraction, I guess. Not the worst, not the best either. Next, so first up we have Laska Senzari. Sniper, 2 cost. Sniper gets and create a random sabotage in the enemy's hand. So, number 1, this doesn't just cost 2 energy. This also costs you your action for the turn, because you're gonna have to use the 2 energy to create Sniper, and then you're gonna have to sacrifice your attack to use Sniper. And all you get out of that is 1 sabotage. And you can actually replicate the same thing by the card Sabotage, pay 2 cost, and get a sabotage in your opposing hand. Now, of course, Sniper is good in that you don't take damage, but if you wouldn't be taking a lot of damage on your Warlord anyway, if it's something really big, you would trade in something for it. Now, for that reason, where the ability is almost non-existent, and she's in a hard faction to a draft, or at least average, I rate her as challenging. But it really feels like an uphill climb for her. Next we have Magus Utulnas. Choose a non-legendary Gene Stealer Cult troop and add it to your hand. So, the great thing about this is that she doesn't draw cards, so you will not get closer to death. The bad thing about this is that you don't actually know what you're getting. It's just gonna be 3 random cards, and you have to pick one. And he doesn't actually do anything else. That's it. He doesn't help you draft or anything like that. So, because of the faction strength and because he kinda really does nothing, he goes in the challenging tier. Because to be average, you would want his talent to contribute a little something to the situation. Next, we have Icon Ward, Malak Vorenth. Heal 1 to your units and give them +1/+1 this turn. Actually, you won't be surprised that if I rate Morgan Val highly, which is +2/+2 heal 1, I'm also gonna rate Icon Ward highly because he gets a smaller effect, but he can trigger it at any time, no matter what phase he is, and he's not in a traditionally buff faction or faction that buffs its troops, so he has to pay a premium for that too. So all in all, I think this is a good card. Easy to draft with. You just go wide, and has a very good talent. So for that reason, we put her in the better choice than others. Next, we have our last Warlord for Gene Stealers. We have Rienor. Now, I use Rienor in skirmish and classic all the time. However, she's still not a good drafter. Her talent is drawing a card, which is not the best thing you wanna do. You wanna be doing more proactive things. And aside from that, she kind of does nothing. Aside from drawing a card, which could hurt you, she's just a basic 2-25 attack warcaster. So really, he's almost as bad as Laska. However, one saving grace is that he does have a heal 1 to all of your troops, so that could have some impact on your board. For that, I'm willing to give him an average. Next, we have the Imperial Guard. Alright, well, let's start with the Notice first. Well, let's start with the Guard first. Guard usually has a very stable drafting environment. They usually give you 2 troops, whether vehicle or tank, vehicle and human, and 1 stratagem. That stratagem could be anything. Could be pinning fire, armored lightning, something like that. But uh, so it's not that hard to draft for guard because there's a lot of very easy to integrate stratagems and very good troops that you can draft into. Low cost infantry or high cost tanks, you've got it covered with guard. Now, Leontos for his duty deals 3 damage to someone, that's very minor. But more importantly, give +1/+1 to your units until next turn. So, Leontos tells you what he wants to do. He wants a lot of units on the board, and then he wants to buff them and kill your opponent. Then if he can stack back buffs on top of that, that would be great too. Now, his duty is not really that useful. It's there, but on the times that it is useful, it usually saves you a couple of life because you're sniping somebody with 3 health or less instead of having to attack it. And one good thing about his bonus is that it lasts for one entire turn, so it lasts until the enemy's turn as well. So if they attack her, they take more damage. Based on all of that, I would actually rate Leontus at better choice than others. Next, we have Ursula. Ursula makes a shock trooper, and duty deploy a shock trooper. And sure, her talent lets you pick non-legendary talents and add it to your hand. In skirmish, this is very powerful because you have plenty of turns to use your ability, especially when you're not doing anything, and stack the hand your way. The problem with skirmish is that you rarely have time to do that. Most of the time, you'll only be able to comfortably do that your first turn, and then you have to counter the opponent's troops already. Due to that, just the fact that she has a very limited impact on the board, but she's in a good faction, I put her in the average tier. Next, we have Hector Thenman. Deal 2 damage, stun. Talent, deal 1 damage if the target dies, draw a card. Again, it's not always the best thing to draw a card. And while dealing 1 damage to a target is good, as opposed to other factions who only cost 1, it costs Hellman 2 to do that for the price of 1 damage. Now, if they die, you get to draw a card, which again you might not want to do. So, while his one use in a game talent of stun would be good, it's not enough to justify um, picking Hector over others. So I put him in the average tier, considering that he's still working for the guard. Next we have Denkler. So Denkler gives flank to a friendly infantry and gives 2 health to a friendly unit and reloads its duty ability. So he's telling you that he wants a lot of infantry, and that he wants to jump to a lot of the management issues. So in that case, Deckler actually has a very relevant ability throughout the game, as uh, you'll be able to use your ability to disrupt anything your opponent has going with any unit at all. And that enables you to pick certain units that trade well, like the Primary Psyker and other units like that. Now, uh, Decler also can reload himself, so he can give flank to multiple troops. And he has a healthy life total. And combined with the fact that you're passive with Decler means that he's quite hard to kill. So, I actually rate him very highly. I rate him as an easy mode caster because of his innate abilities. Then we go with Dark Angels. So, Dark Angels are the secret causing faction. The good news about secrets in Skirmish is there's only 12 cards, so you can receive them right away. The bad news is that it's 4 quest points per secret, and you don't always get that right away. And aside from that, your troops are very good early game, but they kind of drop off late game, where you don't have many aside from maybe Samael, you don't have any really viable heavy hitters unless you play Azrael and have the Night Masters unlocked. So let's start with Belial. Draw the next card on your deck, +2 attack and armor 2. So the problem with Belial is if you use him too much, he will literally kill you. Drawing a card every turn with him is very bad. You won't even need that many cards, and you only have a 8 hand size in Skirmish. However, he does tell you what he wants to do. He wants to go face. +2 attack and armor 2 means that you're trading off a 4 attack to 1. So in 5 turns, you should be able to kill your opponent. Now, that means that like the other duelist builds, like Godrang, Belial wants more direct damage spells um, like that Grim Vengeance, I think, the one that deals 2 damage and gets a quest point if your damage kills the opponent. So or Unwavering Zeal, you want more things that deal damage, and you want faster troops, so you can draw more of them. So while he does have a pretty major handicap, if you play around it, you won't notice it because you won't be killing anything. But because of how much you have to baby him and draft the cards for him, I rate him as average. Next, we have Asmodai. Deal 1 damage. If the target survives, gain 1 attack, gain 1 quest point. So, before before anything else really, as long as you have an ability that says deal 1 damage anywhere for 1 cost, and then just full stop, no other things to worry about, that's already a good ability. That lets you finish off troops that would otherwise take a lot more effort to kill. That allows you to ping off shields, and that allows you to like peek into ambushes by swinging at them, or by casting a spell at them, so that you won't go in blind into whatever the Gene Stealers have in store for you. Coupled with the fact that he can easily gain secrets, and is in a good faction to draft with, I'm actually rating him as one of the better choices than other warcasters. He's kind of limited by the choices in Dark Angels, but that is what it is. Next, we have Azrael. Choose a card in your deck and put it at the top of your deck so you get to filter. And +1/+1 to all of your troops. So, Azrael wants you to go wide, but he also wants you to take advantage of the teleport ability, because he can direct the flow of reinforcements to your field. That actually means that it's very easy to draft for Azrael, and he unlocks a lot of the teleport units that Asmodai would have trouble using. So in that case, since Azrael has a plan for himself, is in a pretty good faction, and has some other advantages like a board wide +1/+1, we actually rate him at better than others. Next we have Emperor's Children. I find it Emperor's Children, if you're just going for a damage deck, it's not that hard to draft for. But if you're going for a deck that makes use of the Obsessionist and stuff, usually the Obsessionist gets stuck in choices with Coterie of the Conceited or the Potion Generating Spell, something that costs you a lot of tempo to play. So those cards rarely see use if you want to get the Obsessionist, which means that um, you're gonna have dead cards in your hand. So due to that, I'm just kind of rate them as a middle faction. So Caprel, simulation, give +1 to a random troop, and deal 1 damage. If the target dies, create a random combat elixir. So, like I said, I value 1 damage for 1 cost highly. It makes the Warlord function like a 6 attack Warlord. I mean 3 attack Warlord. And in this case, you get random potions as benefits as well, which helps you trigger your troop simulation. So everything just really works well with Caprel. For that, I put him at a little better than others. Next, you have Lucy. +3 attack, and he has 3 attack, a simulation, deal 1 damage to a random enemy. And choose one, give vulnerable 1 to a random enemy, or heal 1 to your Warlord. The thing with Lucy is that in draft, he's very weak to range fire because he only has 1 attack. If you have somebody like Swarmlord who has the same problem, they carry they carry like flyers in their deck to make dealing with other flyers easier, and uh, they can what 1 minute. They can buff their own troops range attack, like with the Swarmlord talent trigger, to make targeting air effects easier. Lucius can't really do that. He doesn't have a way to directly buff his range troops, so his problem versus air becomes readily apparent. So the opponent can take advantage of that and really get some value out of their air units. So because of that, I find him a lot harder to draft for. So I drop him on the challenging tier. Next we have Zarahan. So Zarahan gets +1 attack when you go below 15 life, and you give a dark pack of success to a friendly troop, or if it's a demon, give +2 health as well. So of course, since it's a draft, you're not guaranteed to get any demons, so just forget about that +2 health. Would you use this on a common soldier? The answer is actually yes. Because usually when you're either casting your spells or healing soldiers, you're already at the last phase of an engagement where you're trying to get the most value out of your soldiers as possible. So getting the +2 health isn't that great when you're gonna be trading in your soldier for something. Now, so that's the worst case of the Dark Pact. The best case is that you put it on a demon, and you get +2 health, and that helps you survive. And the Dark Pact of Excess also triggers stimulation, so you can have other positive effects from it. So he's in a decent faction, and he has some good tricks by himself. So we put him in the average tier. Last, we have the Space Wolves. Very good faction overall, easy to draft for, lots of power cards. Has Birth of a Saga, has raid tactics, depending on where you want to go. So they also have good legendaries. However, there are too many good legendaries for you to include all of them. So that's kind of where the weakness is for Space Wolves. And of course, they have a hard time with flying as well, and they don't actually do flank. They do ferocity, which is a bit weaker than flank. So first one, let's discuss Logan. Logan. Start your hand with the dog and draw a card, lower cost by 1. The dog is actually more of a handicap for you. Sometimes most of the time, he'll never see play. And if he does, he'll just get gunned down because that's only 9 health. And there's no defensive tricks to him. Um, but the thing is that um, he's a space wolf, so he still he still uh, gets access to very good units. So because of his lack of anything though, I still put him in the average tier. Next we have Ragnar. Deal 1 damage to an enemy. If it's a true, give it Hunt Smart. So that's particularly good with Sisters because if you kill the one with Hunt Smart, it will also prevent the prayer from happening. Aside from that, it's a 1 damage for or 2 cost for 1 damage spell, which is all you could really ask for. And that's it really. So strong caster, relevant talent, and in a strong faction. So he goes in the he's in between better choice and others in easy mode, but let's put him in easy mode for now. Lastly, you have Najal. So what can I say about Najal? The only warlord really with cost reduction as part of their package deal package. Um, his his spells are +2 attack, -2 attack with a Discord AV, and 3 damage to 1 target each. That 3 damage to 1 target each can accomplish a lot. It can either do the do filling the killing blow out of a unit that's damaged, or if you're using it on a if you're using it on an ambush troop or something you can't see, the lightning bolt will actually reveal all of them for you, letting you get favorable trades. So because of his integration with Space Wolves, where they already have good ferocity cards and he wants you to play ferocity, and his talent, we actually put him with Vol in the S tier. Alright, well, this is our tier list for today. I hope you enjoyed it and see which warlords you should pick to maximize your draft potential. And again, this is only my personal preferences. Some of you guys may know drafting better than me, or may have your own preferences for drafting, because sometimes you're really predisposed to playing certain units. That's okay. Leave that in the comments. And I hope this was useful again. And like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.